Hello everybody, I'm Gary Stearman. Good to have a few moments with you once again. And thanks so much for the great response that you've had during our opening days of our new ministry, the Prophecy Watchers. You know, I'm going to read a little note here from a young lady named Debbie D. And she says, I can't tell you how excited I am to have Gary back along with Bob Ulrich and Tom Horn. And she says, a big thank you for having an email newsletter. Well, Bob, we appreciate Debbie's comments, but that email newsletter is not anything like it's going to be, right?
Well, it's going to get bigger, it's going to get better, it's going to expand over time. You know, we've only been in ministry here on our own for 13 days. I mean, in 13 days, we have seen just a series of miracles. We related the first miracle to you here just about a week ago, where someone literally donated an entire office of furniture that we needed, you know, to fill all the rooms in our entire office. And so we're back today. We're going to talk about Miracle 2. But you know, this email newsletter is going to be a conduit for you to begin to hear more about Gary's research, Gary's writing. He told me just yesterday he spent 6 hours studying, and he's come up with lots of new discoveries. These are the things you're going to hear about in the newsletter. It's going to expand here in the next 2-3 weeks or so, and it's going to become something that'll be in your mailbox regularly. With you know, this is your connection to Gary moving forward here in the future.
And you know, Bob, a lot of people are talking about the blood moons, and I have here a letter from Lyle L. And he asks this question. I was wondering when you were going to do another prophecy update. We have the blood moon coming up on the 8th of October, and I have no clue what to watch for. Well, join the club, Lyle. A lot of us have no clue. And you know, the thing that makes us all watch that blood moon phenomenon is written in Joel 2:31. And mind you, this takes place prior to the tribulation, according to Joel. The sun shall be turned to darkness, the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Lord hath said, and in the remnant whom the Lord shall call. Well, that's a prophecy that takes place before the Great Tribulation, then moves on into the tribulation. And here, Joel clearly says the moon turning into blood is something to watch for before the great and terrible day of the Lord. And Bob, that's why people are so excited about the 4 blood moons.
Well, it's a strange anomaly that, you know, we introduced actually a man by the name of Mark Biltz kind of to the world in 2008. And when Mark first made this discovery and we read about it, we were just let's just say really excited.
Oh yeah.
Because it's something that is so unusual. Could it be an accident? Could it be a coincidence? Not everyone is a believer in the blood moon phenomenon.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are just dismissing it out of hand as just a bunch of speculative hyperbole.
Sure, but it's there. And in fact, those 4 blood moons take place on Passover and Sukkot, and right in the middle is a huge total solar eclipse on a Passover. Okay, you could say coincidence. I believe in coincidences. I'm not predicting anything. I don't think Mark Biltz is predicting anything, except he's asking everybody to watch. And what's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that.
We're prophecy watchers, right?
That's right.
I mean, that's what we do.
Absolutely.
But you know, the whole thing has just taken on a life of its own.
It has.
A lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon. But, you know, the reality is these things are there. They're signs in the heavens. Did God put them there? Well, I tend to think he did. It seems to be just a little too much odds-wise to be a coincidence or an accident. What's going to happen? We're not predicting the rapture. We're not predicting the start of the tribulation. But I think God is giving us some warning signs.
There's another thing to watch too, and that's the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. There's a brewing dispute about where the second temple used to be and where the third temple will be built. Now, I find that fascinating. Why at this time in history is there a dispute going on? This can only mean that some interest is being developed that'll have to be resolved in the near future with the building of the prophesied third temple. And here we have a note from Tom D. And he says, Dear Gary and Bob, do you have any thoughts on Bob Cornuke's new book on the temple location? And he argues for a temple location south of the current Temple Mount. Others argue for the temple location right in the middle of the Temple Mount. That is where the Mosque of Omar is. Still others follow a third model, the Asher Kaufman model, which would put the temple on the north end of the temple platform. So we've got three models, Bob, and we're going to have a good shall we say, spirited discussion in the months to come.
Well, this has been in the news actually for the last couple of years, and the way we look at it, Randall Price posted a rebuttal to the Cornuke hypothesis to another location.
That's right.
There's a gentleman from England by the name of Lean Rittmeyer, and Lean wrote a long rebuttal to this. In fact, I have a copy of it in my briefcase. I think I may just retype it out, maybe post it on our Facebook page for people to read.
Good idea.
Facebook.com/Prophecy Watchers. Real easy to remember. It'll be easy to find. I'll try to get to that today or tomorrow.
Bob, I noticed that you have in your lap a book, and I'm going to ask you to talk about that for a minute. That has to do with our launch here at Prophecy Watchers.
Well, the book is Gary's book, Time Travelers of the Bible. And I have to tell you, if you have not read this book, you simply have no idea what you're missing. It's a book that studies things in the Bible that I guarantee you, trust me, you'll never hear in church. The subject of time may not sound that interesting to you. Now, the subject of time travel is interesting to everyone. It's the stuff of science fiction. It's the stuff of the Old Testament prophets. But what Gary points out in the book is, time travel was something that really is nothing more than fulfilled prophecy. When you look at John the Revelator, he wrote the book of Revelation. He was given a vision by God. He wrote down the entire book of Revelation, everything that was going to happen in the future leading up to the Battle of Armageddon. And John was a time traveler. What else can you say? John saw the future because God showed it to him. Well, he wasn't the only one. And you go through this book, prophet by prophet by prophet. I can just guarantee you this is the most interesting book you will read this year, bar none. I'm not saying that because it's Gary's book. And this is a lot of years and years and years of research. He poured his heart and soul into this book. And the real message of the book is the cross appeared at the perfect time in history. God planned it this way. He saw the future. Dying on the cross was no secret to Jesus. He was prepared for it. He knew when it would happen. He knew where it would happen. This was the theme of this book, isn't it?
Absolutely. The cross came at the intersection of time and space, right in the middle of everything. Isaiah 46, God says, I create the end from the beginning. In other words, he's the master of time and space. And when his son came, it was exactly at the right time, exactly at the right place. Time travel, as you've never read about time travel.
Well, I love the words of the late Dave Hunt, who said in a great article that he wrote entitled The God of Prophecy, he said, if you know the future, you're either some super advanced space alien or you're God. And we tend to think that he's exactly who he claims to be in the Bible. Now, here's the real miracle of this Time Travelers of the Bible book with the cross on the cover. We have been in ministry now for 13 days. Miracle number 1 was the office furniture. Now, miracle number 2 is, I guess, just shocking to us. In 13 days, our friends have generated and donated enough money for us to actually purchase and acquire our first high-definition studio camera. Now, that is exciting to us. We're shooting here, with borrowed equipment. We don't really have the technology we need to go back on television yet. But we have raised enough money through donations, through people, just shocking to us how generous they really are.
Oh, yes.
To purchase that first camera.
Shocking is the right word. Thank you so much. I think the Lord has favored our undertaking. We've been receiving incredible support, and you've been so generous. Thank you so much. Love you all.
Well, that's a great praise report. Of course, what I haven't said is we need 2 more. In order to go on television, you've got the left chair, the right chair, and then the center chair. So, you know what? We're just trusting the Lord. When the Lord wants to provide those funds, we'll have all 3 of those cameras. We'll have the tripods we need. We'll have the editing equipment we need. Everything we need to go back on television is no surprise to God. He knows the future, doesn't he?
He does know the future. By the way, check on our progress on our website, prophecywatchers.com, on Facebook, facebook.com/Watch Gary. That's one way to get there.
And the other way is facebook.com/Prophecy Watchers. So we kind of get you coming and going with two different sites.
Bob, very gratifying to be sitting here in this chair in a time such as this. We are living at a crux in time space, to borrow a little phrase
Absolutely.
from Time Travelers of the Bible. And it's such a great time to be able to address people who are interested in Bible prophecy. May the Lord bless you all, and we'll see you again real soon.
Keep watching.
That's what we always say. Keep watching.